just this idea that as good girls, we were raised to never ruffle feathers. Ruffling feathers was, I mean, impossible. You just couldn't do it. Your job was to make everybody comfortable, and you might have a brave moment of trying to speak your needs or be confident or tell the truth. But then if feathers got ruffled, all of these parts were like, shut it down, unsafe, you know? And so your healing work is going to require you to ruffle feathers. Ruffling feathers means you're doing it right. A lot of our healing, so much of our healing, is going to ruffle feathers. And it makes sense that parts of you are going to want to jump in compulsively to over explaining and over apologizing and trying to fix it when people become unsettled, when people are showing disapproval, when people are making you feel like you're unacceptable for ruffling feathers. Like that's forbidden. You also have like an army of parts inside that remember the rules of the game. And the rules are you're not allowed to make other people uncomfortable. You have to be the one to take one for the team. You have to be the one who is uncomfortable. And you not only do you not get to be comfortable, you have to make sure they're comfortable, but you also can't show any of the discomfort on the outside. It has to stay inside. Because again, we can't make anybody uncomfortable. And so much of your healing is going to look like I'm doing this anyway. So much of your healing is going to require you to, instead of attuning out to those people and watching and making sure they're okay and making sure you're not ruffling and making sure they understand and make sure it makes sense and making sure they're co-signing on everything, it's shifting back. In the book, I call it shift your focus. So your focus is out because that's literally how you had to be to survive. You had to watch their mood, watch their emotional closeness. Are they withdrawing? Am I being punished? Right? Angry footsteps, loud sighs. Like you had to literally attune out like a fucking hawk. And you had to make sure and look for any signs that you were in trouble, that they were mad, that you were about to get the silent treatment and be abandoned. And so the outward focus was survival in childhood. But you're not a little girl anymore. You don't have to do that anymore. And so shift your focus is about noticing, oh, I'm shifting out again. I'm attuning out. I'm focused on them. And I need to shift back in, go inside. What do I need? What feels good for me? Am I okay with this? And I can't tell you how many times my own therapist, I'll be like, I've seen the same therapist now for over 10 years. And like, man, we've been through so much. And like, the number of times that I would be like, they're going to be so mad. And like, I don't know. And she'd be like, just hang on a second. Are you okay with this? And then there were times I'm like, wait, what? And then I'm like, all right, let me see. And I'm like, wait, no, what the fuck? And she's like, here we go. Let's go. It's like she literally did that of like, stop looking out, check in. And as soon as I checked in, I'm like, wait, what the fuck? This is so fucked up. They're being so mean. And she's like, uh-huh. We all do this, but I need you to shift your focus back inside, right? Um, when you stop over explaining, when you stop over apologizing, when you stop assuming it's your fault, that's going to be a transition in that relationship. People are used to you being like that. So when you stop doing that, we have to allow space for there to be a transition, for people to be a little unsettled because you're doing it differently. That doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. That's not proof that you're not allowed to do this, that you're not safe. It's not proof that you're doing something wrong. It's just proof that you're doing something new. You should have always been able to do this. You always deserve this. And also, most of the time, sometimes parts will lead us astray and want us to ruffle feathers to kind of jerk someone's chain, get their attention. And that's okay. I got those parts too. But if you're listening to self and you're listening to the still knowings, to me the parts feel like when my anxiety or my inner critic which is like fear of disappointing others, shame, fear of making people mad, fear of abandonment. Those parts, when they're talking, it feels very unsteady, feels unstable, feels swirly whirly, like it's like bajiggity energy. But self energy to me is like stable. Like we're out somewhere on a dirt road and I drop a boulder. So like checking in with the energy. If you're making choices about how to respond or what you need from self, you're not ruffling feathers just to be reckless. People might make you feel like you are, but again, they're they're used to you betraying yourself to make them comfortable. But you taking care of yourself is not reckless. It's real. It's about honoring yourself and what you need. You're letting yourself matter because you've spent your life trying to be agreeable at any cost. No matter what the cost was to you, you have swallowed that and like somehow made it look okay on the outside to prioritize other people's comfort. And when you've done that, even a whisper of truth can feel like a scream to us and to the person receiving it when they're not used to us being like that. And so when you center your needs, what you need, it's gonna make other people uncomfortable sometimes because of course it is. That's not proof that you're doing anything wrong. It's proof that you're putting yourself first. And most of the people who get real pissy about this are real good at putting themselves first. And they're just used to you putting them first too. You're kind of beating them at their own game, which I think is part of why they get kind of vicious and judgy. So, what does this look like? This looks like saying, I can't stay late tonight. I have to leave at whatever time. Or, I need more time. Remember when I was trying to finish my manuscript and it was supposed to be due on a Friday, and I was like, I need more time. We can do this without apologizing. We can do this without being self deprecating and berating ourselves and beating ourselves up and talking shit about ourselves. We just be like, I need more time. It also looks like saying things like, that doesn't work for me. I'm not okay with this. I need to do something different. People are going to feel uncomfortable. People are going to be annoyed sometimes. They're going to be surprised, might even be upset. But again, this is a sign that you're no longer sacrificing yourself to make sure they're okay, to prioritize their comfort. This is healthy and this is necessary. And just a reminder that there often is kind of a tipping point here that I see. I certainly went through this myself and I see this a lot with clients. It's like at first, keeping the peace and like stuffing down your needs, your feeling, your truth is going to feel safer, better than ruffling feathers. It's like, well, this feels like shit, but that would be worse. But then the more you do it, the more you get a taste of what it feels like to actually give your needs a seat at the table, there often is this kind of very identifiable tipping point. I remember one time I had a falling out with a friend right around the time Oliver was born, and she was mean. I think she called me like a burden or like, I don't know, kind of I repressed the memory, but it was terrible to like a very pregnant woman. Anyway, um, I was going to be seeing her at a birthday party for the first time about a year later. And it was so interesting. I was anxious about seeing her, but not for the reasons I was used to being anxious about seeing people. I was anxious because I knew if she walked up and tried to act like everything was normal, I was not going to be able to play along. And I didn't want to like start shit at my friend's kid's birthday party. But I just knew if she tried to walk up and be fake, I was gonna be like, no, not giving you a hug. The fuck are you doing? Because I was at that tipping point where it was actually more uncomfortable, more intolerable for me to pretend than for me to like have this awkward moment with her. I was at a point where I was like, no more. I will not fucking do that to myself anymore. I will not hug the person that was a total jerk to me and so mean to me and never apologize. I'm not going to pretend. And if she tries to come up, and she didn't, thank God, but like if she tries to come up and pretend, I'm going to be like, what are you doing? I'm not hugging you, you know? So it's at first it's going to feel like the stakes are too high and like it's going to feel terrifying, terribly uncomfortable because of course it is. But the more you practice this in little tiny moments, the more the momentum builds and it will shift at some point to where and it kind of just happens on its own. You don't have to like make that happen. You just have to keep showing up in these tiny moments and choosing yourself. Checking in with what do I need? What do I want? What would feel good for me? you know? And then doing that. Because when you keep the peace and stuff your needs and stuff your feelings and stuff your truth, it's not real peace. I think that's why it's almost like you can't put the Pandora back in the box. Once you experience real, real peace, the like fake peace, which we have to go through this, right? But like the fake piece of like pretending is you're like, well, that's not real. That doesn't actually make me feel good. That just makes me feel okay in that moment. But there's no shame in being in that phase and trusting that if you keep showing up for yourself, you're going to go through this. You're going to experience that moment of real peace where you put yourself first and you let them be upset and you let them misunderstand. And you're like, wow, cuz nothing in the whole world feels better than taking care of myself. Than going, girl, you don't deserve that. Or, girl, you deserve to feel good. So we need to go to bed. Girl, you deserve, I always say girl, I don't know why. Girl, you deserve to have safe relationships since this person's being kind of shitty. So you don't deserve that shit. Nothing feels better than taking care of myself. I also want to remind you because ruffling feathers can feel like burning bridges, but it's not. It's only burning down this idea that the only acceptable version of you is the one who makes everyone else comfortable at your own expense. It's burning down this idea that you have to show up as your most lovable version that's a obedient little good girl who people pleases and is miserable inside. Let's burn that shit down. You deserve to burn that down.